Us now, former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti. He's also the host of the On Topic with Renato Mariotti podcast. Good to see you. So the question is, she's not a defendant in this case, but the question is, did she benefit from some real estate deals? So this apartment that Dre was talking about in New York. What do you expect the state will specifically be pressing her on today?
Sure. So they're definitely going to be pressing her on some of the specifics of that apartment. I think they're also going to want to what I'll call lock her out of certain testimony. I think they're or lock her in. They're going to basically try to, get her to say that she was not involved, that she didn't have any input, that she didn't see, XYZ happen. In other words, try to make sure that it's clear that ultimately it was her brothers that were responsible for the business, not her, not anyone else. In order to make sure that she doesn't come in later and try to provide some different testimony. So that's what I expect from her. Overall, I think her testimony is going to be walking a tightrope. She doesn't want liability for herself. She ultimately cares a lot about her image, but of course, she's loyal to her father and her family.
She stepped away, though, from the family business in 2017. I hear what you're saying about deniability, and we saw it on the stand with the Trump sons. What was her role at the time before she walked away within the organization? What was her title? What was her job?
Yeah, it was very limited. She was, I think, an executive vice president. I don't really think that the title meant a lot. Her and her brothers had pretty fancy titles. But Eric definitely had a much larger role, and Don Jr. had a much larger role than her, Eric in particular. So I think she's done a nice job of insulating herself here, which was what she wants to do. And ultimately, that's going to limit her testimony quite a bit.
Renato, what do we know about her current relationship with her father? She hasn't been in the spotlight like some of her siblings have been as of late.
Yeah, she was urging her father on January 6th, for example, not to, to essentially call off the attack in the Capitol, try to dissuade some of his supporters from engaging in violent activity there. And since that time, she's really tried to stay out of politics. Her and her husband are not involved in her father's reelection campaign, but they're clearly on good terms. And her father continues to speak well of her, and I'm sure vice versa. I have no reason to believe they're on bad terms, which I think in many ways complicates her testimony because she's dragged into this trial because of her father's business, and the business of her family. And she wants to remain on good terms with them, but nonetheless doesn't want to create any liability for herself.
She did not speak going into the courthouse. My guess is she probably won't on the way out because, again, as we've mentioned, she doesn't want to be there. The defense did not cross-examine either of the sons. Do you expect the same today?
Yeah, I think she's going to want to get in and out of there and say as little as possible. This is going to stand in stark contrast to the testimony of her father, the former president, earlier this week. I think her father was trying to create a sideshow, trying to distract, trying to obfuscate. That's not what Ivanka Trump is trying to do. She's actually trying to essentially limit her liability. And ultimately, for most witnesses, when I'm preparing witnesses to get on the stand in most of my cases, I'm trying to get them to say as little as possible. She doesn't want to testify. She tried to fight this subpoena all the way up, tried to even appeal that. And so I don't really think she's going to say any more than she has to.
You brought up Trump's testimony on Monday. It was prickly. It was feisty. The judge was frustrated at times by it. Might that hurt his case?
It's certainly not going to help. And I would say that what you saw from the former president was not a legal strategy at all. Throwing pot shots at the judge, attacking him, is not any sort of legal strategy in the middle of a bench trial where the judge is the decider. There's no jury, and the judge is the one making the final decision. I think the best way to describe that is a distraction, maybe a political or a PR or spin strategy. But ultimately, Donald Trump's legal team made a decision long ago that they are not going to contest this case because they, just as a damage control strategy, because ultimately they took the fifth in his deposition, I think, over 400 times. You don't take the fifth in a civil case over 400 times if you're planning to go hard and try to hotly contest the case. So as a practical matter, I think that this was really something besides a legal strategy.
Gotcha. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.